Okay, so now we are looking at some shapes, some different shapes, not just cubes and letters. And these are the shapes that we're going to look at. So this is isometric paper, very faint as you can see. We've got 4 different options here. There's some circles that we're not actually going to involve just yet because we haven't spoken about them, but you can see that we have got some numbers and we have got some different shapes with some different angles. It's very similar to what we've been doing, but we need to be a little bit more thoughtful about how we create these potentially. The letters and the numbers, just the numbers, we are going to use, but we're not going to be perfectly accurate. Okay, our proportion is going to be similar, but as I said, it's not going to be spot on. So let's start with figure 1, how we would go about this. We want to basically imagine this as a cuboid to start with, and then we're going to cut away from that cuboid using our front face, our back face, and our side faces. Okay, we're going to do it all together, and it should hopefully make sense as we go. So if I leave that there, move it over to the side, hopefully that stays in frame so you can still see what we're doing. So let's start with the top face, okay? And if we go here like so, hopefully you can see that top face. We've got our front face here. We've got our face that goes back in this direction as well. So that kind of mocks up this shape roughly. My angles are maybe slightly off there, but you get the idea. From there, we can think about, let's start with the front face. So this length is roughly 9 on here. If I was to count this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, comes to 5. So it's 5 along. Okay, so it's slightly past halfway. So you can imagine that's roughly halfway, but slightly past there would be where that angle starts. It goes up by 1, 2, 3, and it is 6 in total height. So it's exactly halfway here, this front line. So we can draw that front line, and it needs to be parallel to these 2 on the front. We can join up this line here and this point because that is where our angle is, like so. Now we know that this line along the top is parallel to this line starting from that point where we drew here. So we can make sure that this line and this line and this line are all parallel to each other. That's not quite parallel. And we've got our top part in a pretty good place. We know that from here, this back part is going to be parallel to this top line here. So I can just draw back parallel to it, a rough line. We don't know where it ends. Actually, we do. This line that goes vertically down from this point is going to meet it just there, which is really helpful. And it goes back a certain distance. But before we do that, we can see that this line is halfway along. So there's 3 and 3, which means it's halfway. So halfway along here is probably about there. And I can just follow the angle of this line here, like so. Or I can mark on where halfway is at the top, roughly there, like so. Okay, so halfway along this top line because it had to meet exactly halfway up there. And then we can join this line and this line up for this section because they are going to be parallel to each other here. It's slightly off being parallel. And once we're happy with that, we can draw over the actual shape and make it a little bit darker to stand out, like so. Try and get all of our lines as we go over this, just tidy them up slightly. These back lines here, these vertical lines just there, this horizontal line here, and then finally our angles just there like that. Okay, so, I missed that one, sorry. There is our first shape, figure 1. Let's have a go at figure 2, and then you can have a go at 3 and 4 yourself. So figure 2, exactly the same concept. Okay, we know that it's 5, what have we got, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's 9 along and it's about 6 wide by 6 tall. So pretty much the same type of scale, or proportion, should I say. So I've started with the front face. We're going to go back in this direction, about there, across in this direction. Again, we're joining those up. So as you can see, when I build my construction lines, I don't worry about the first one being perfectly accurate. Okay, I can always go over and build into it just to tidy up the lines. So there's our proportion roughly. Again, 5 and then 4, so it's slightly forward from center, about there potentially. We know this line is going to go vertically up. Which line am I talking about? I'm talking about this line here. This line is 1, 2, 3. So we can say 3 is about there. I can draw this vertically down. And that is that line there. It goes all the way to the bottom in my eyes. Along the top where it's met, it's going to go all the way across as well, definitely. So we can go across there. And then it's only gone down by 1, 2, 3, so halfway. So halfway is there. And I can also draw a line going across infinitely. Where this line at the top is met, we can go vertically down. And therefore that line has to stop there because that's where the end of the piece is. Where this line has met this front part, it comes across, but it's parallel to this line. So I can move my page and I can make this line and this line parallel, like so. And now I have the distance for this corner bit. It goes in by 2. I don't know how far 2 really is, so I'm going to draw that across. Okay, and I know that this line here, 4 and 2, so 4 is going to be basically 2/3 of the way along. So say we're going to go there, we can draw vertically up. How did I get that line? That is this line here going all the way up infinitely. I can then, from that point, see that it goes up by 3, which is halfway. So halfway there is about the same, halfway here. Hopefully now, if I make this parallel, like so, where that meets, that's parallel to there, that's parallel, and that's parallel, that gives me this corner. And I can draw that corner vertically down however far I want. It goes down, obviously, to where this meets, and these two are parallel here. So this line and this line need to be parallel. Where that corner meets, that then needs to be parallel to this line because this line and this line are parallel. So I can move my page, I can draw this parallel, and funnily enough, it meets where this vertical line started. From there, we know that this goes all the way across to the end, and that point are going to be parallel to this top line. Join that up, and we then have our shape. This line is slightly off, which is really annoying because it makes everything else look rubbish. But you can see how we've got that. So I'll quickly draw over the top. So we've got this back line, we've got this corner here, this corner, those two meet up, this line meets up, this vertical section here, this goes across, that goes over there, vertically here, finish that vertical one, this one goes across, these go across here, this goes along there like so. And then what we have is a very nice and neat isometric shape. So quite complex, okay? You need to be thinking about where your lines fit in. If I didn't start with this box, okay, this initial crate, this cuboid, it'd be very hard to keep things parallel and in proportion. This is definitely the way to go. It'll make your sketching much better. Have a good go at 3 and 4, but don't worry about the circles or the radius on the corner there. Just try and get the overall shape and you should be in a pretty good place. Just the good old colours. Orange, you can see all of these are vertical. We've got our greens, which are all going off to the right, and they are all horizontal and parallel to each other. And then the blue goes off to the left, and they are all accurate as well. Good luck, have a good go.